I read on your site that Moniepoint has processed a large volume or processes large volumes. I think it was like
I tell you, I may have to kill you.
What did he say?
So there's the illusion of saturation. There's something I call Lagos syndrome. There are states that you would go to where you would really start to question what you're calling saturation in terms of financial services, because nobody's serving anybody there. That's why financial inclusion is a thing, because they believe the best way to get out of poverty is financial services.
How did you find the rain coming here?
It wasn't fun, but we survived.
Did you swim or was it?
My legs swam.
Okay. All right. So for those who don't know you, can you just tell us your name and how would you describe what you're building and your role?
My name is Tobi Amira. I'm the VP of Business Loans at TeamApt. And that basically means I need to build that business line. So from the product, operations, making sure that people actually use it, which is growth and all of that stuff.
What is the relationship with TeamApt and Moniepoint, if you can just touch on that?
They both belong to the same holding company, which is TeamApt Inc.
Okay.
So TeamApt is more of a switching license, payment processor, and Moniepoint is, as you know, a bank. If
anybody sees Moniepoint, what would you want them to think about first? How would you describe Moniepoint's unique service offering?
I think we would love for them to see us as a partner, not a bank. The idea is we want to, financial services are basically supposed to help you grow, right? That's why financial inclusion is a thing, because they believe the best way to get out of poverty is financial services, right? And it applies beyond just like the lower end guys, even as you go to medium businesses and large enterprises, right? Ideally, your bank is supposed to be like your partner that would help you grow. And that's how we want our customers to see us, as a partner that is basically going to help them grow.
Interesting. In terms of the problem you're solving, how would you enumerate them? What are those problems that you're trying to solve? How are you trying to make the world a better place with Moniepoint? So
the problem we're trying to solve is there are, as I mentioned earlier, there are businesses at different scales. And the reality is those businesses at the lower scale, as a collective, they account for a lot in terms of the productivity of Nigeria as a country. Unfortunately, individually, they are not very profitable, especially to some of the existing financial institutions. And so for the longest time, they've been underserved. Also, maybe because it's a little bit difficult to come up with a process to be able to serve them in a profitable way. And I think that's why maybe a lot of financial institutions have shied away from it. And so we've seen that problem, mostly because some of our initial businesses were serving those people. So we've seen that they are productive, and we've kind of gotten an insight as to how to serve them properly. And that's basically what we're trying to do. Now, of course, in serving those people, of course, we can serve the big corporations and everything, right? Because ultimately, if you do the hard part, then the easy part comes easy. But yeah, so that's basically it. Okay, so basically, there's this productivity. You're trying to build this process. Was this the main reason why Moniepoint was started? How was the journey to starting, or the idea of Moniepoint? Okay. You could almost say we stumbled upon it, but not really. In our early days, we used to build products for banks. Okay. Most of the products we used to build for banks were around what they call acquiring. Acquiring basically means giving people devices that they can use to collect money. And we were very, very strong on POS acquiring. In fact, we used to build a lot of the software that the existing POSs used, right? And so in doing that, we started to realize that we thought we could do a better job than some of the existing people in terms of serving the people directly, right? And then we decided to take a swing at it. It was almost a side project, basically. But once we got into it and we realized the magnitude of the impact it could make, then we doubled down on it. And that was basically how we started down that path in terms of agency banking. And as we continued to evolve agency banking beyond how people looked at it at the time, we basically got to a point where we realized we're banking these people. So why don't we just go all the way, right? I remember in one of the earlier days when I went to one of the agent locations, one of our agents used to give out credit with his own money. And that's when we realized that, cash in and cash out is just one kind of financial service. There's loans, there's insurance, there's all those other things. And that was when we started thinking in that direction, that we might as well provide all the financial services and not just limit ourselves to just that one.
I know I saw loans, but we'll get to that one later. You mentioned that you felt that you could be better than some of the existing guys.
Yeah.
And, now we hear a lot about fintechs, and, there's also this saturation. How are you trying to differentiate yourself? How are you standing out?
So there's the illusion of saturation. There's something I call Lagos syndrome. Right?
Okay.
Where basically everybody's sitting down in Lagos, right? There are 36 states. There are states that you would go to where you would really start to question what you're calling saturation in terms of financial services, because nobody's serving anybody there. So a lot of people are serving the same kinds of customers, while there are other customers who are not really being served. And those are the kinds of customers that we started to see as we took that foray into agency banking. But ultimately, I think what gives us a little bit more confidence is because we've spent the last couple of years really understanding these people, and we've also built a level of trust. And so we're basically hoping to leverage on that trust to actually provide them with all the other services, as I said, beyond just moving money here and there.
Now, speaking of moving money here and there, I read on your site that Moniepoint has processed a large volume, or processes large volumes. I think it was 2 trillion every single month.
Yeah.
Wow. How has the feedback from customers been like? You've done all this processing. What do you get what are positive feedbacks that you get from customers, or just general feedback?
Mostly what they like us for is the fact that we're reliable. One of the most frustrating things to do, and it's anyway, one of the most frustrating things that can happen to you is when you're trying to get money out of your account and it's not working.
Yeah,
right?
It
can be extremely frustrating. And even though it can't always be prevented because there are so many moving parts, but it's a little calming for somebody to have even had the ability to tell you beforehand that, what this bank is, or this card is not going to work now. And so you just save yourself that unnecessary stress. So that transparency as well also helps us. And on the reliability part, in fact, there's this word on the street where they say if Moniepoint is not working, nobody else will work, right? And that's because, as I said earlier, we're very deep in acquiring. So we have really deep integrations that allow us achieve a level of reliability that just anybody can't achieve.
Interesting. Let's look at Nigeria now. How do you see financial inclusion in Nigeria today? Where do you see it going in maybe the next 5 years?
So honestly, where financial inclusion, I think what we're doing very well is attending to the underserved. I'm not sure we're doing a very good job of including more people, right? And I think the problem is because you need to first of all ask yourself why they're not included in the first place. And the reason they're not included in the first place, I'll be completely frank with you, is poverty. And you're not going to solve that problem with a POS or with all of those kinds of stuff. So until you go and start really, really solving that problem, you're not going to really make a dent in financial inclusion. And one of the things that makes us really, really happy is some of the impact we've made on some of the people that work with us in terms of changing their lives generally. Not even our customers now, the people that work with us. Okay. That's how you include people, to be very honest. So that guy now, his nephew is going to go to school because he's working with us, right? And that nephew's life is changed, really. If the nephew maybe didn't go to school and he was on the road running around, there's no product you can build that will include that boy. You get it? So sometimes you need to look beyond the surface level to figure out what the problem is with some of these things. And it's the same problem in all the developing parts of the world.
Interesting. And I mean, that's just a thing generally. There's news that Nigeria is poverty capital of the world. There's also the thing that, are we not just building apps for people that already have smartphones or that already know?
That's what I call Lagos syndrome.
Nah, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so we are, and well, not we are, but a lot of people are. And that's why it gives the illusion of saturation, right? Because on your phone now, you probably have 10 of them, but there's somebody else somewhere who, even if he has a smartphone, he's not going to bank on it. Right? He doesn't he has been educated differently. But the guy is profitable. The guy has a business, is importing spare parts in the billions, wherever he is. But because of the way you have decided to attack him, you are never going to reach him. You are never going to reach him if you keep thinking that way. And all those insights were insights we got from our first foray into this.
what's your success story like? What are those things that you would consider as the biggest achievements for Moniepoint?
So, I mean, as I said earlier, we like to look at people as partners. So most of our biggest success stories are like either success stories of our customers or of some of the people who work with us. I kind of spoke about one earlier where like we've changed the lives of a lot of people that are working with us, both in terms of people who work with us and then people who are like our customers. So we've received some videos for people we extended credit to who were basically explaining to us how that changed their lives. Basically, people who work in our network who have been able to, as I said, send their kids to school, build a house in their village, all of that stuff. Those are the things that really warm our hearts. So
how can somebody be part of that? What is the process like to become a business owner? I know that's what you call.
Yeah.
What's the process like?
Yeah, basically just go online, go to moniepoint.com, sign up. It's very simple. You just need your BVN. So we support all kinds of businesses, right? Like the mom and pop shop, the guy who just sells stuff by himself. Basically, we recognize that not all the businesses will like be formal, and so we try to support all of them. And we also have like our partners, who I've been calling partners, our relationship managers, who also like can help you through that process if you are one of the digitally challenged kinds of people.
Okay. And I'm guessing, there's also the solutions for people who are savvy in that regard.
Yes, absolutely.
What does it cost to get started now? If somebody was going to want to become a business owner, like what are those things that they would need? I know you mentioned the BVN, but in terms of costs, what do they need to acquire stuff? What are you giving them?
No, not necessarily. There's no cost to get in. Just go there, open the account, and it will be there for you. There are other like features that are layered on top of it. Maybe you want a POS, maybe you want access to like our accounting solution that we're working on. You want an expense card, you want credit. Each of those ones may have like their own like intricacies, but just to get in, to get an account, all of that is free.
So, like, can you just maybe touch on some of those costs? Yeah.
Okay, to get the POS, there's a deposit, but it's more like for insurance on the device because the device isn't free. So in the event that you say, okay, I don't want the device again, it can be refunded to you. I think there's a cost on the card as well, like maybe 1K or something.
Downstairs, I saw a lot of boxes. Those are POSs, like
yeah.
Is there like what if you were going to maybe talk about numbers? Is there like a number of business owners that work with you, and what is their success like?
Yeah, we have, last I checked, 215K.
Oh, okay.
Business owners on the platform. And what do you mean when you say what's their success like?
Like I don't know, maybe monetary success or just
basically they're the ones that are helping us process that 2 trillion that you spoke.
All right.
that you spoke about.
How does Moniepoint do instant payments? Because typically, if you look at POSs generally, like sometimes they take 24 hours, maybe. I don't know how long.
Yeah, T+1.
T+1. How does that happen? And are you not worried about like all those, maybe KYC?
I tell you, I may have to kill you.
Okay, so that's the secret sauce, I guess.
No, not really.
Okay.
I was just playing.
Okay.
So here's the thing. That's how it is, in all honesty, because that's how it has always been. Right? Like, let me ask you a question. Why do transfers settle instantly? And POS transactions don't?
I don't know.
Who processes the POS transaction?
I would have to research that.
Yeah. So it's more of how it has always been, right? So the excuse is, it could be reversed, it could be all of that stuff. But so it is within that window that they try to solve. But the reality is, you and I know that in the event that you are debited wrongly, it takes more than 24 hours to reverse.
I can attest to that. I just got
exactly. So by that we can automatically know that that's not the reason, right?
Okay.
Clearly, right? So really, I think what we did differently was because, as I said, and I think we're very, for the lack of a better word, lucky because we got those fundamentals initially in terms of working with the banks, understanding how settlement works, understanding how the processors work. We were able to see some of the things and that's why I said we thought we could execute it better. We were able to see some of those things that didn't necessarily need to work like that. Like, in all honesty, I don't necessarily need to wait for a customer to tell me that it was debited wrongly before I can see it, right? You just need to, you need to prioritize those small things to give like your customer a very, very solid experience. And also you need to have like the depth to understand how to actually execute it. And those are some of the things that we had that we were able to now confidently say we can settle these people instantly, because we can take care of all that stuff that makes people scared of like settling instantly.
But with the volume of transactions and like all of those things, is it like tech that is enabling this to work well, or
it is all tech? Really. It is all tech. Of course, tech is like meeting a business objective, right? It's automating something. So it's difficult to explain without going into detail, but yeah, it's all tech, but it's not just like someone just wrote code and automatically, like, it's actually meeting business objectives. It's moving money across different banks. It's doing a whole bunch of stuff, really.
Does Moniepoint's POSs, do they support all types of cards or just like specific ones? Because I know that whenever I go to a shopping mall, there are some POSs that will never work with my card. They have a specific font, they just don't work. But does it work with all kinds?
It works with all cards, really. Unless your card is like not a mainstream card, like maybe it's a gift card or something, I don't know. But any card that you could possibly withdraw cash from an ATM will work. There's
something that we read on the website. Moniepoint gives loans to businesses up to 5 million naira.
Yeah.
What are the requirements, and how is interest rate like? And also, how does Moniepoint handle defaulting of payments? I know I asked a lot of questions, but we'll start with the requirements.
Yeah, so the requirements, the most fundamental requirement is you need to be our customer, because we need to have data on you to be able to make the lending decision. Once you're our customer, that's really it, right? We have like a system that would go through your information and decide whether or not you are creditworthy. Okay. So that's the first question. Second question was, what's the rate? It's that same system that determines the rate, because it basically like assigns a level of risk to you, and interest is a function of risk, you know. So the person who you're almost guaranteed that will pay you the money back, you can give him like low interest, and the person who looks like he's going to Canada tomorrow, you give him like a high interest rate, right? And then the third one is defaulting. So one of the things that we have done is we've prioritized working on that system, because the truth is, once the person has gotten to that point of default, like your back is against the wall. And so if you want to get it right, what you need to focus on is not giving those people loans in the first place. The idea that you can build some kind of, you can easily collect when this person is defaulting is very difficult from that point. However, we've also built an entire system around recovery, where we have like recovery officers who work like closely with these customers who have defaulted. And we've also tried to use technology to kind of automate that process as well, so that we're gathering data as to how they're engaging these defaulters, and we can analyze it over time and figure out what methods work best in terms of getting somebody who simply doesn't want to pay you your money to pay for whatever reason. Some of them have legit reasons. Somebody fell sick, they had an emergency, and some of them simply don't want to pay.
That's probably one of the business challenges that you face. But generally, and this is the last question, generally in terms of challenges, what are some of the challenges that you have faced as Moniepoint, and how have you solved those challenges, or like how are you working to solve those challenges?
I mean, I would say initially a lot of the challenges that we faced were not really prioritizing operations technically.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are like not very happy with their banks, right? Because the app will look very, very wonderful, but once it stops working for whatever, and it will stop working at some point, when you now get into that support operational like funnel, the experience becomes really, really messy, right? And so I think that was one of the mistakes that we made earlier, but we've kind of like doubled down on technology from an operations perspective. So that's one. Two, again, well, I think that's the main thing. The other problems we have are more technical. All our resources are flying to Canada, so it's kind of expensive to
talent.
Talent is a huge one, but because if we could find talent at the rate that we wanted to, we would have done like far more than we're doing now. But we're still doing very well. So,
does network speed affect your I mean, I guess at some point it might.
Yeah.
How does that? How do you guys solve for network speeds, or is there like a?
So again, one of the things that we do is we lean heavily on like our partners in all these places. First of all, to give us like clarity as to what works where. The second thing is we've also built knowing quite well that like network is going to be weird in all these places, and so the idea is to reduce like what needs to be sent across the network in terms of the weight of it, right? So that it can still be moving quickly. You can't build it as if, again, Lagos syndrome. You can't build it as if the guy is going to be connected to like fiber internet, right? You need to make sure that as minimal information as can be sent across the network so that it always works.
Yeah, I know that I said that was the last question, but you mentioned talent. Are you hiring?
Yes, so we're hiring.
Okay. Like how are people going to find?
So if you go to our website, you would see like the careers page, and you see a whole bunch of, and even if you don't see what you can do there, there's one that just basically says enter your dream job, and just enter it there. We'll reach out to you. We're always hiring, basically.
Okay. So what roles specifically?
All kinds of roles, engineering roles. We have a couple of operational roles. Product, we need like. Yeah. Are you a product manager?
Me? I'm. This is my job.
I'm just specific.
Yeah,
so engineering, product managers, all of that stuff.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. This was very insightful. And I look forward to having this published.